Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Learn This with Mahesh on 1st of November 2023. Uh, I started this 60-day challenge where planning to prepare for machine learning engineering exam or certification. So was not able to continue because of a few works. So I thought I'll resume back. So this is going to be the second video on machine learning, which we are going to look into it. So let's get started. So in this video, we are going to look into BigQuery ML. Why BigQuery ML? Let me give you a quick explanation on that. If we come to the official page of professional machine learning engineer, where they mention the details, what and all needs to be prepared. The good part is Google has started adding a percentage, which is very important, which was not added before. So I am seeing it for almost like a month, if I'm not wrong. What is the percentage of stuff is going to come? The first part is architecting low code, meaning don't put heavy code. It should be low code, is what they basically seek. So ML solution, and the first one in that is BigQuery ML. So we don't need to have a very powerful virtual machine with TPUs or at least GPUs and try to do all those kind of stuff. So this is going to be a very straightforward option where we are going to use BigQuery. And in BigQuery, there are going to be different ML models which we are going to try: linear regression, binary classification, those kind of stuff. So that's the stuff which we are going to look into. And I am going to take most of the stuffs from LAC, Valiappa Lakshmanan, so who had written this article. So I'll put this article also in the description if you want. So everything is basically based on this article only, very nicely put. So we are going to basically take this as an example. So let's get into the BigQuery piece of it. So the first thing which we are going to see is BigQuery ML piece. Uh, for doing any kind of machine learning stuff, we need data. So in this case, we are going to use a logistic regression, basically to find out when giving a text information, whether this kind of text usually comes from Git, GitHub, or is it from New York Times, or is it from TechCrunch? That's the kind of classification which we are going to do in this stuff. So for this, we are going to use, so in this article everything is mentioned, the queries are mentioned, but the only thing is that it was basically referring to a little older data set. Hacker News was the one which was referring to. So this is the public data set. Currently it has been renamed or changed to something called as hacker underscore news dot full. That's the table name. So it is not anymore stories. The table name has been just changed, just for your information. So just do that small tweak and we should be all good. So most of the queries are literally a copy paste here. So what is the first query which we are trying to do here is just we'll try to understand what is there in this table. So because we want to get a clean data, right? So when I run this query, it's going to show me any articles whose length, the title is more than uh, a length of 10. So a good article should have a good explanation, right? So there are certain cases where the articles are going to be very, very short. So it is not going to be a good choice. So that is what we are going to try to see. And there should be a valid URL. Simple stuff. We get some sample records. Good. Next part which we are going to do is we are going to, because it's in a table, so it's going to be a little easy for us to do some cleansing, data cleansing, by which we should be able to get a good amount of data which could be fed as an input. So this is a query, again literally copy pasted from that article. So what this query is trying to do is it's going to run a regex to basically find from the title. So what we are going to do is we are going to only look for characters, alphabets. Uh, so with few special characters, that's the one which we are going to take. So remaining everything, we are going to replace it with empty characters. So that is going to be our title. So we just want to have a clean data. So that is the part. So before that, I should see this piece. This is going to be our subquery. So where we are using few BigQuery built-in functions, where from the URL, the HTTP part, we are removing it. So only HTTP or HTTPS. That part we are removing it. So we are only going to get, and we will try to get the domain. So whether it is from TechCrunch or it is from GitHub or something else. So if you see the previous one, so you can see the articles are coming from various places, right? Catfishshark.com. So we wanted to only extract that specific part. That is the one which we are trying to do it here. So we get the title and we say a condition where uh, it should be basically containing the URL should be containing .com kind of. So that's what we are trying to basically see it here. So you can also literally run this query and see how it shows. We should be able to get the results. So every this thing. So and you can see the .com is removed. So only it's going to show the source. This is good. So this is going to be fed as the input to the next one, where we are going to also cleanse our title. So that's what we are going to do it here. So we can run this query and we should get the source and the title. So title is going to be now cleansed with a better stuff. So now you see the title is little nicer, right? So good. Now we are going to use common table expression here. So, and the name of the table is extracted. That is what is going to be basically queried in the next place where we are going to do a split. So this is going to be like 5 words is what we are going to pass. Based on that 5 words, we have to decide whether it is going to be from GitHub, New York Times, or TechCrunch. So now, since we have this extracted table, it also has a source. So source is going to be something like this. So we are saying we are not looking at various things like this. We are only expecting results from a specific source. That is what we are going to do it. And we are also splitting the title by white space. So if the title is having more words, good. If it's not having, maybe very few words, so remaining are going to be filled with null. That's what we are going to do it. So let's go ahead and run this and you will get a result. So sorry, you'll get a result here and which is going to be completely TechCrunch, GitHub, or New York Times. So that's what you see it. Very nice. So we have the data ready. Now, once you have this data, what we are going to do is, this is where usually data engineers come into picture. So, but if you are coming from that background, it's really good. So we have the stuff. So going on to the next step is the most important thing as a machine learning engineer. So here we are going to create a model. So I've already created this model because I have create and replace. It's going to create it one more time. So, and this is what we are going to place. So even tomorrow we are going to use the same example, but with a different model type. So I will use something like binary tree or something else, which I'll start learning and I'll basically put that. So that's the plan. So logistic regression is what we are going to. So it's going to be more kind of it's going to classify the stuffs and say, okay, this data looks like it is coming from GitHub. So that is the only stuff which we have to do here. So this entire piece is nothing but the copy paste of the previous exam. So we have the data, right? That data set, that is nothing but the same thing. So that's the previous stuff. So if you see it very clearly, it's nothing but the same thing. So this results we are going to feed in as the input, right? So that's the data and we are going to create a model. So let's go ahead and create a model and this piece can take a little time. And the beauty is it's not going to take like 1 hour, 2 hour or a day kind of a stuff. It should be pretty fast. The only reason is BigQuery is a distributed system. So let's go ahead and run how long it's going to take. And we can check the elapsed time. We should be able to find out how long it is taking. The model is created. That's what you can see it. If you look into the execution details, it took roughly around 2 minutes 28 seconds. That's really beautiful. So for people like us who's trying to learn machine learning and trying to get a model so quickly built gives us an option to try it multiple times, change the parameters multiple times and do it. So that's what I really like it with BigQuery ML. So the model is built. Good. So the next part is we wanted to verify whether the model is really been nicely built. Evaluation piece is what we are going to do it. So we can use the model is built. So if you see it, the model, this was a data set. So you have to make sure you create a data set like this, an empty data set, and the table is also going to be created. So we sorry, the model is going to be created, so we should not have any issues. Make sure, I forgot to mention that part. So make sure you create a data set and it has to be in US. The reason is this data set is in US multi-region. So if you look it in the details, it's going to show you that. So that is a step which I forgot to mention. Sorry about that. So going to the evaluation piece, there are two ways you can evaluate the model. One, you can run a SQL statement like this. Select star ml.evaluate the model name. So if I do it, it's going to show me details about the model evaluation where it talks about precision, recall, accuracy, F1 score, the log loss, so area under the curve, all those things we'll talk about it because I'm also in a learning phase. So I'm going to get more understanding. So I'll share my understanding. You can put your understanding in the chat or in the description. So as we progress, we'll look into more. So we got an evaluation. This is one way of doing an evaluation. So another way of doing an evaluation is basically you can look into the class or the model which has been created. So you will see a slightly different icon. So text classification is what we have done it. So if you see it, 2nd of January, which is today, the model has been built and it is of type logistic regression. Good. So the evaluation which we did, so this command, you can run this command or you can click on evaluation, and the same stuff which you saw there is also showing here. So for example, precision is 83%. The same thing is what it should be showing. Yes. Right. Good. So the next part is you can look into confusion metrics. So at a very high level, so 95% of the time it is predicting correctly, it is GitHub. So 3% it is wrongly predicting it. So New York Times, and 2% as TechCrunch. That is the simplest way I would say how a confusion metrics can be usually read. So it's doing pretty good is what I would say. Good. Now you can also, so I have some more thoughts on the confusion metrics. So please do expect some more videos on this because I wanted to make sure it's clear. So usually they use terms like uh, TPs and FPs. So we'll look into more of that. So false positive, um, false negative, true positive, true negative. So this is some kind of a terms which I usually get confused. So I wanted to make sure I understand it. So to do that, I'm going to look into something and I'll try to make a video out of it so that if you have something, we can also talk more on it. So that's something which we can do. So that's something a model looks like a good evaluation. So now what's the next part? So you can start doing predictions. So you can do start predictions here. So the way we do it is ml.predict, where you pass the model name and what should be the arguments. So we have 5 arguments to pass it, right? So I'm going to pass 5 words like JavaScript, error, node, runtime, debug. So basically it's a technical stuff completely. So it should basically predict me like it's too much or the content is coming from GitHub. That is what is our expectation. Let's see how our model is going to basically do it. So let's run it and let's see what is the prediction. So 99% it is saying it is going to predict this value is going to be predicted as GitHub, which is awesome, is what I would say. So that's the probability score, and the label which it got is GitHub. Very nice, right? So another example where I have used all Google jargons here: Google Cloud, Kubernetes, Vertex, Thomas, kind of a stuff. So who's going to publish this kind of information? GitHub or TechCrunch or New York Times? It should be New York Times. Sorry, it should be TechCrunch. More of technology, right? So let's try to run this and see what it is going to show. Good, around 67%. It is saying it is TechCrunch. So meaning maybe the data is not fully there, is what I would say, but it's trying to basically got that part. Moving on to the next part, if I pass something like government, shutdown, leaves, worker, so maybe I can, yeah, leaves, workers, virus, something like I can say instead of leaves, right? We can use something like, say for example, say for example, military or air force, something like that. So definitely this should be our stock market, stock. So definitely this should be coming from New York Times. So let me run this. I had run it previously, so just wanted to change certain stuff and show you that it is really live. So when we do this, 98% it says it is going to be New York Times. So which is really a good prediction, which our system is able to do it. Now, in the first go itself, we went with logistic regression. We got a very good model. So let's spend more time in tomorrow's video where we will look into deeper into these details, calculations of these things. So meaning only when we get into that deeper level, we'll understand the concepts. So that's the video which I wanted to share today, where we completely leverage the article from Valyap Lakshmanan. So it's a complete copy paste of the commands there. Do let me know your thoughts, how you are able to create this model. So, and do let me know if based on different words which you pass, whether the model is not working well or not. So in tomorrow's session, we'll look into one more stuff. So it's going to be a continuation of BigQuery ML itself, because almost like 12% of the stuff is going to come from low code ML. First of them is BigQuery ML. And if you see, almost like the first section is here. We just created a model ourselves. So we have to look into other stuffs also. So tomorrow we'll look into it and get more ideas on that. So that's it for today. Thank you.